Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. We thought that the drama would be coming to an end now that the election is over, but no. Drama does not come to an end in DC. Welcome to another episode of the DC Comedy Hour. We're going to call this the TED and AOC episode 3981. The TED and AOC episode 3981. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the shortest press briefing that's ever been conducted by a sitting United States president. I'll talk to you about Ted Cruz and AOC taking shots at each other, and I'll talk to you about what Janet Yellen is likely to do, what she's likely to want, the next US Treasury Secretary, as far as stimulus is concerned. Let's just jump right in. President Trump appeared in the briefing room today for 1 minute at about 12:30 p.m. East Coast time to congratulate the American people on the stock market. Yes, the president spoke for 1 minute to congratulate the American people on the stock market because the stock market has hit its all-time highs ever. The stock market has actually broken 30,000 at the time I'm recording this. And here's the interesting thing. President Trump spoke briefly, took no questions, and just walked away. And as the president walked away, you can hear a reporter actually say, well, that was weird as... and then he said a word that I'm not going to mention on camera. I want you to watch this segment on your own. I'm actually going to show you a tweet on your screen and watch the president walk away after speaking for 1 minute in a press briefing. Let's roll the tape and I want you to watch this.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Mr. President, even if sir, why not concede for the good of the country? Sir, why not concede for the good of the country, sir?
That's one of the stranger Okay.
And so if you thought that was interesting, check this out. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Ted Cruz took shots at each other over stimulus relief as we are waiting for Congress to strike another deal. On your screen, you'll see this article. The headline of the article from Fox News reads, AOC, Ted Cruz spar over COVID-AIDS stalemate as clock ticks for Congress to make a deal. And keep in mind that right now Congress has left. Congress is gone. Both the House and the Senate are gone for a week-long Thanksgiving recess with absolutely no stimulus deal in place right now. So let's take a look at the first tweet on your screen from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We'll provide you with the links to all of our resources, all the tweets in the description section below, so you can check them out. She tweeted this 22 hours ago. She said, people across the country are going hungry. COVID is set to explode, and Mitch McConnell dismissed the Senate last week. I don't know how these people can sleep at night. I really don't. That's what she wrote. And that's when things got a little bit heated. Ted Cruz actually tweeted to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, why is your party filibustering $500 billion in stimulus relief? That is what Ted Cruz said. He said, and Joe Biden is cheering them on, thinking that blocking relief somehow helps Democrats win Georgia. And this is a response from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The House does not have filibusters. We also passed several COVID relief measures to the Senate that not only included more than $500 billion in aid, but also prioritized real people as opposed to Wall Street bailouts that the Republican Party tries to pass off as, I quote, relief. I'm quoting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she also said, nice try though. And then she followed up with the response that was a bit more telling. She said, and you see this tweet on your screen, I hope someone else runs Cruz's Twitter account because it'd be pretty embarrassing if a US senator didn't know this. She said it was almost as embarrassing as when Senator John Cornyn, who's also a Republican, didn't appear to know that Puerto Ricans don't get to vote in the presidential. Pretty incredible spat between AOC and Ted Cruz. And our viewers and subscribers need to know that the drama did not end there. This is what Ted Cruz has tweeted. AOC seems not to know that there are Democrats in the Senate. So, by the way, just to be clear, right now there are 50 Republican senators and there are 48 Democratic senators in the Senate. So this is what Ted Cruz said. Or that Joe Biden, also a Democrat, is publicly calling on Senate Democrats to continue filibustering COVID relief because he thinks it will help them win Georgia. That is what Ted Cruz is saying. And this is the response from AOC. In the House, when we don't have the votes to pass something, we work on the bill until we pick up the votes to pass it. In other words, she's talking about trying to create some sort of a compromise so that everybody supports the bill. That's what she's talking about. And she said that includes GOP votes. And yes, GOP meaning Republicans. GOP is an abbreviation for Grand Old Party. That's what the Republican Party was called back in the the day. So when you hear GOP, that means Republican Party. And she said, and yes, GOP have voted for my leg too. So that was interesting. And she says the Senate should try it sometime. People are going hungry as you tweet from vacations. Pretty incredible standoff again between AOC and Ted Cruz. That was interesting, wasn't it? Now let's talk about what's been happening between the Federal Reserve and the United States Treasury. Now, as we all know, the US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin basically asked the Fed to return some of the money back that was set aside for lending as a backstop, if you will, for large corporations. And the United States Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said, hey, let's use the money for stimulus. But there is something important that I want our viewers and subscribers to understand as far as stimulus is concerned. So the idea of the Federal Reserve giving back money to the United States Treasury is actually a little bit strange. Now, I want my viewers and subscribers to understand that it's not like there's piles and piles of cash sitting in the building of the Federal Reserve and then they have to get wheelbarrows and big trucks and armored trucks with, guys with guns taking the money from here to the United States Treasury. It's not that the Federal Reserve is actually physically returning piles of cash back to the United States Treasury. Basically, the United States Treasury gave the Federal Reserve the legal authority to lend out billions of dollars to large corporations at low interest rates in order to be able to prop up the economy, in order to be able to essentially keep the economy going, because the availability of money, the access to money, basically it's called liquidity, is important so that money can exchange hands, so that people can continue to pay employees, corporations and then employees can continue to spend. So this is, at the end of the day, all about liquidity. But again, the Federal Reserve simply had the legal authority to lend hundreds of billions of dollars at low interest rates to maintain liquidity. But now the Federal Reserve has relinquished that authority based on the instruction from the United States Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Now here's the other interesting thing. The United States Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, it's not like he can simply reallocate the money and say, okay, now we're going to send out, PPP loans and stimulus checks. He can't do that. He still needs congressional approval. We still need the House and the Senate to come together. And by the way, for some of you who are still thinking executive orders cannot reallocate that money because the power of the purse rests with Congress. So if you've been hearing on some other channels where people don't know what they're talking about, that there's going to be an executive order tomorrow, they don't understand how the system works, how the Constitution works. And I'll tell you why all of this is important as far as the next US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is concerned. But basically, it needs congressional approval for this money to be essentially pumped back into the economy. And this would have been true even before the US Treasury Secretary told the Federal Reserve to return the money. So this whole mirage, if you will, of, hey, let's take this money back and reallocate it, it won't happen without congressional approval. And that was true even before this money was essentially transferred back to the United States Treasury. So what is the bottom line? The bottom line is the constraint to stimulus is political. I'm going to repeat this again. The constraint to stimulus is political, and it always has been. At the end of the day, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on one side and the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, unless the Senate Majority Leader becomes Chuck Schumer, which can happen if the Democrats win both Georgia Senate runoff races on the 5th of January. At the moment, what we have is House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and if these two individuals can come to an agreement, and keep in mind even Joe Biden wants large stimulus, then it's up to the future US Treasury Secretary in the future, presumably Janet Yellen, who is then going to be tasked with reallocating this money. And keep in mind, Janet Yellen has said that she supports large stimulus, and she has been the chairman of the Federal Reserve from 2014 to 2018. Now remember when I mentioned earlier that the Federal Reserve essentially returned money, although again, like I said, this was essentially a capability that they had to lend, but they essentially returned money back to the United States Treasury. Well, it's projected that Janet Yellen is actually going to reverse that decision. And keep in mind that there was essentially a public disagreement, if you will, between the Federal Reserve and the United States Treasury. So Janet Yellen is seen as someone who's likely to reverse that decision And because the Biden campaign has criticized the decision from the US Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, here's a quote on your screen from Diane Swonk, who's the chief economist at Grant Thornton, and she said this on Bloomberg. By the way, we'll provide you with a link to all of our resources in the description section below, so make sure you check out all of our resources. This is what Diane said. Instead of a dissonance, meaning a disagreement, and the break that we've seen recently between Treasury and the Fed, this is a united front, but a united front in the right direction. She said, we need this. Now, speaking of needing this, this is actually what Janet Yellen has said in the past, and she said it as recently as October 19th on Bloomberg television. I'm going to quote Janet Yellen now. While the pandemic is still seriously affecting the economy, we need to continue extraordinary fiscal support. But even beyond that, I think it will be necessary. Meaning, Janet Yellen is saying that we need more stimulus. We need more support. We need a low interest environment so that businesses can borrow, so that businesses can continue to grow. She said we can afford to have more debt. And she said interest rates will probably be low for many years to come. So that's where things stand, everybody. An unusual interaction between AOC and Ted Cruz. Important indications of what's likely to lie ahead as far as the political willpower is concerned, as far as Janet Yellen is concerned. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and also check out all our resources in the description section below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I appreciate you watching. If you learned something from this video, please consider clicking the like button. Please gently ignite that subscribe button, and please enable notifications. That would mean a great deal to me. That tells YouTube that you found this content helpful. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. Get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000, that's 70000. You'll get added to SMS alerts list moving forward. Now, if you want, you can also get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. Once you get on our email list, you'll get important breaking news and important alerts about matters that are important to the country, to the economy, and to your money. Now, you can also follow us on Instagram. My Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. And then you'll get exclusive content specifically for our Instagram followers. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You'll get breaking news and alerts from us on Twitter. So make sure you follow us on Twitter. Now, sometimes YouTube does not always send out notifications on time. So all you have to do is simply bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. And then you'll be able to visit the homepage of our channel and check out our videos at any point in time that you want. You're not dependent on the YouTube notifications. Again, if you learned something new from this video, please consider sharing this video with friends and family. You'll find the links to all of our resources in the description section below. So make sure to check out our description section. Please comment below and engage with our community. We have a vibrant, we have a bipartisan, we have an intelligent community, and you'll probably make a lot of friends in our community. So make sure you comment below and engage with our community. Finally, if you learned something new from this video, please consider clicking the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications so you get instant updates from our videos going forward. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.